Welcome to Cosmic Diaries. This is Priya Kali, your astrologer, and here we are at a full moon week. The moon is in Scorpio as I record this, and just past the quarter moon, the first quarter of the moon. Scorpio moon squared the sun in Leo last night here in New York. And now the moon is moving to a trine to Venus. And on August 10th, at 2:09 p.m., the moon will be full in Aquarius. So that's about a week from now. And I'll give you a little bit of an overview of the week at the end of this video. But first, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Jupiter and Leo. I entered Leo on the 16th of July and will stay in transit through Leo all the way until the 15th of August next year. Now, Jupiter has a 12-year orbit, so it goes around the sun once every 12 years, which means it passes through each sign once a year, each sign of the zodiac once a year, which means it returns to a sign once every 12 years. And when we're studying astrology, any astrology, what we're doing is we're studying the cycles of the planets. And you can look back to history and historical times, or then you can look more closely at events in your own life, because after all, you know yourself the best. So your life is always a great marker to look back on. But otherwise, you can also study, obviously, world events and historical events to see how these transits occur and how they play out on a global front. And this gives us some clue into ways that the energy might manifest. Infinite manifestations of any aspect and any placement. Ultimately, what it comes down to is every astrologer interprets things differently. So, although everyone's looking at the same data, you have different interpretations. That's because there can be infinite interpretations. But then why is one astrologer more accurate than another? Because at any given point, we're also tuning in to a level of intuition. So, and it's not that another person is wrong, but they're tuning into another aspect of the aspect and the energy. So there are people who will connect with certain astrologers more than other astrologers. And that's just how it works. So for whatever reason, you are here watching this video, and hopefully you're getting something out of it. But on a larger scale, this message is meant just for you, because that's the way the universe works. And we're just one part of this whole greater whole. But, okay, I've digressed. So coming back to Jupiter and Leo, Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system, or at least known solar system. Let me rephrase that, because we're constantly learning new things and nothing would surprise me. But Jupiter is the largest planet in our known solar system, and its influence is similar astrologically in the sense that it's a very expansive influence. It goes beyond boundaries. Jupiter rules the 9th house and Sagittarius. So it's the higher mind. It asks for a higher perspective. Also, Jupiter in our solar system, the gravity of Jupiter deflects a lot of cosmic debris that would otherwise make its way to Earth and crash on Earth. But similarly, astrologically, Jupiter's influence is also protective. So now that Jupiter is in Leo, we're seeing the qualities of Leo being magnified. And that's where we're having, and wherever you have Leo in your chart, that's where you have the influence of Jupiter right now acting in your life. So it is helpful for you. You can go to astro.com and get a free chart and look at your houses. They have very good free software to start with. Or of course you can get a reading. There's nothing that would replace a reading with an astrologer that you connect with. But One helpful way would be to look back to your life at what was going on in about 2002 to 2003. That's when Jupiter was in Leo the last time. And now, as Jupiter completes this 12-year orbit and comes around to the same area of your life, you're going to see similar themes echo. Jupiter in Leo is like a massive spotlight. Leo is the sign that's ruled by the sun. So, Jupiter is also about generosity. This is about how do we learn to give from the heart? How do we embody the higher consciousness and the wisdom of the heart and allow that to guide us? Jupiter is a harbinger of good fortune and opportunity, even luck. But Leo asks for courage. So there's a sense of having to take risks, take big risks. The other thing that could come up at this point is look at where you have Leo in your chart. For example, if you're a Scorpio, it's in your 10th house. Now, 10th house rules your career, your public image, your profession, and you will have a lot of professional opportunities coming your way now. And if, on the other hand, you're experiencing, because Jupiter's influence is expansive, so I mean, not just for Scorpios, for everyone, but if on the other hand you're experiencing something that you don't like, then perhaps it's asking you to look now from a different perspective, because Jupiter is all about perspective. And no matter what a situation looks like from the outside, you can trust it could be a whole lot worse. So, but it will require courage to change something now. And this is true for everyone. I'm not just speaking for Scorpios, but I'm speaking as a general rule. For Scorpios, you're gonna see this play out in terms of your work. For Leos, this is in terms of yourself. And really for everybody, Leo is the sign of the self. So the biggest lesson through this cycle of Jupiter in Leo is how do you cultivate, because Jupiter can expand. Leo is the ego, Leo is the self at best. So how do you expand in self-awareness rather than grow in your ego or a sense of entitlement or pride or sense of I am great, that I needs to be removed, because Jupiter is about knowledge, but what you want is the knowing that comes through your consciousness, not your ego, which separates you from a greater whole and then ultimately prevents you from shining your greatest light. So Jupiter in Leo is also going to be a time of fun, where there will be more opportunities to have fun and be spontaneous, because Leo is very spontaneous energy. It asks to stay in the moment, but with Jupiter there, it's asking you to be wise, and the more present you can be, your world and your opportunities are going to expand, and you're going to be guided by that inner wisdom that doesn't come from the mind, but Leo is the heart, your whole being. That's what's going to guide you forward. Leo energy is also very creative, very sexual, very passionate. And you're going to be feeling a lot more passionately and creatively, and even a lot more aware of your sexuality. Jupiter, the other influence that you can watch for through this time, is how not to judge yourself for your desires, for what you want, how you're feeling. And just simply learn to express yourself. It doesn't mean you have to act on every desire you feel. That's the part about wisdom, where you have self-awareness and wisdom comes from experience. So depending on how old you are and how far back you can go with your Jupiter cycles, look at how you've grown over the years. Look at your last Jupiter cycle 12 years ago, or then if you were alive 12 years before that. And how have you grown in consciousness since then? How have you grown in wisdom since then? And what have your experiences taught you? And this is not to think that the future will be, if you've had difficult experiences or challenging experiences in your past, this is not to say that the present needs to be anything of a repeat of the past. No two moments are ever alike, and if anything, astrology teaches you that. Because no matter how many times Jupiter comes around, the rest of the planets aren't necessarily in the same position at the same time. And really, that's the truth. The sky is never aligned the same way, and no two moments are ever alike. And Leo especially is all about the present. So no matter what the past has been like, if you can learn from it and grow from it, it's how do you use your wisdom of being who you are today, being honest with yourself today. And then the more you can let go of any need of validation from others or recognition from others, then you're able to simply be yourself and express yourself wholly. And then it's not coming from the ego, it's coming from the heart. And that's pure consciousness, and that's the higher consciousness that lives through you. Because Leo is it's very creative energy, but it is the sign of life. It's life itself. It's the sun. The sun is the giver of all life on earth. So that's your Leo energy, which is constant, and consciousness is constant. We don't really control when we're born. We have no control over death. And there is a life force that sustains us between life and death. And this is Leo. And Jupiter is about faith. So really the biggest message of Jupiter and Leo right now that I could give you is having faith in existence, having faith in your own existence, being generous with your own being. This is about what you can give, recognizing that your life is a gift. And it really begins with you being grateful for this life you've been given. And the more gratitude you can find you have, the more you'll find you have to be grateful for. Leo, as much as it's about the self and consciousness at best, the ego is something that right now you need to watch for. And before you point fingers at others, watch your own. Because there is the potential of having that inflated sense of ego at the moment. And there is that element of perhaps feeling somehow judging your own circumstances, or judging yourself as not good enough, or comparing yourself with others, which you cannot do. You can only be yourself. So there is no shame in being who you are. And I know that's something that everybody knows mentally, but I also am aware that everyone, and I do mean everyone, each and every one of us, there are parts of ourselves that we don't perhaps fully even accept ourselves. So you don't have to put on a front. The more you can be yourself, you can feel free to be yourself and really shine that light. As you move through this year, it will call for courageous leaps of faith, following your passion, following your heart. But as long as you're wise and look before you leap, you can be sure you're going to land on your feet. Up to now, this full moon week, as we move towards the 10th of August and the Aquarius full moon, I've written a very detailed report on the astrology this month because there are aspects occurring nearly every day over the course of this month, especially coming up to the Mars and Saturn conjunction at the end of the month. And I've written about this a little bit on the blog, and I've covered this in detail in the August report, including other aspects that are unfolding this month. It's a breakthrough month. We're ending and starting a 2-year cycle, and the current astrology is asking you to be very present and stay in the moment. especially as we move to the full moon at the end of the week on the 10th. There's going to be a lot of breakthroughs and perhaps surprising revelations, even. But still, it's very important that you let go of expectations so you aren't surprised in a way you'd rather not be. So, the less expectations you hold on to, but just reach for what you want. Have the courage to reach for what you want, ask for what you want, listen to what is being said, and you can learn what you need to learn, and there's going to be a sense of a breakthrough at the end of the week. But yeah, again, it requires consciousness and self awareness so you aren't defeating your own purpose, or you aren't out of pride or ego or any fear of rejection or failure not taking the chances that are being offered to you right now. So look at what's present, be present, and you can seize your opportunities as they arise. So yeah, that's it, I think, for now. I'll be back in the next couple of days, hopefully with the Mars Saturn conjunction video, which I would really like to do. But in the meanwhile, yes, I would recommend you check out the August monthly report, which you can sign up and I'll send it to you right away, because it's just a big milestone month. So I'll be back with more soon enough. And as always, thank you for watching. Ta-da.